Welcome to the Stoughton Godfather Show. I'm Peter Ventresco, your host, and to my right is a lovely young lady by the name of Lisa Lyons, and to her right's another gentleman called Arnie Feinberg.
Hi.
So welcome to the Stoughton Godfather Show, and tonight we're going to talk about the new school and the cost of the new school and a lot of other financing going through the town of Stoughton and why we're in the position we're in, Stoughton. So I'll let you lead off, Lisa. Or you want me to read the questions first? I thought maybe you wanted to open it.
I just, in all transparency, want people to know I'm with the Vote No committee, and today's show, I hope, is going to clarify why many of us are taking a no vote on this particular design and school. This no does not mean we don't love our precious children or want them to have the best of everything. This is solely with regard to the design and the cost of the school.
Okay, the first question we have here. Do you have a concern the dollar amount is not included in the debt exclusion language on the ballot?
Yes, I hope we can bring up that ballot, maybe show a question to the audience of what the actual ballot is going to look like. My concern, this is the ballot question that we see right here. I'm going to give everybody a moment to read it. Nowhere in this ballot question does it give the dollar value of this project. Now, I do want to say that this is legal as written, so I've been told. However, as a tax-paying citizen, I take exception to the fact that it is not more clarifying to the taxpayer who may go in to vote, unless they are on top of what's going on in the town.
And the cost of that is going to be $113 million?
Well, okay, so
plus
the base, no, that leads into another question. So the base of this project is a purported $114 million. We have already spent $1 million on that because we have decided to recreate the wheel instead of going with a model school. So let's just stick with that point for a minute. Yeah, we'll
get to that later. All right.
We'll get to that in a moment.
All right. The second question, do you have any concerns on bonding at 20 years versus 30 years?
Yes. Okay. So there is a comparison. If we bring that up, this is showing, and I'm using the purported rate of 4.25% that is currently expected. Okay, so what this is showing here is I'm using the 2.5%, which is the expected current rate, but let's just keep in mind, we all know inflation is completely out of control still, and that between now and when they actually take out the debt, the interest rate is likely to increase. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because I have another printout that could show at the bringing it to 4.5% will do. In this particular example that you're looking at right now, it is literally outrageous to even consider using a 30-year term on this elementary school. I believe we used it as a 20-year on the high school, because if you, using the same interest rate, do it at 30 years versus the 20 years, you are literally costing the town. Look at that first column that says H in interest. On the second column down, you will be costing the town $18,832,356 more in interest for the project. Okay? And that is just based on, I'm being very conservative with these numbers, because as you can see, I'm only using the 66 million plus that is expected to be paid by the taxpayers, because the state is expected to contribute the 47 million, hopefully, but they're giving all our money away for another cause right now. who knows if we will even get this 47 million.
It's not guaranteed.
Exactly. It's not exactly, Arnie. It is not guaranteed. So keep that in mind. It is ludicrous, and I'm going to say it again, outright outrageous to even consider a 30-year term with an additional 18 million to the town.
All right,
Okay, well, if we can just go back to the hillside, because while we're on this, if we can go to the hillside example that you were on before, yes, and if you could just blow that up. I asked through our treasurer's office to have them tell us using, if we did a 20-year debt versus a 30-year debt. If we went with a 20-year debt, the interest expected, this is estimated, expected interest would be 4.25. That's why I used it in my example in the last slide. It would be at 4.25. If we go with the 30, we would be paying 4.5, expected 4.5. So again, that's just another reason why it would be ludicrous to do this at a 30-year debt. Further, if you do the 30-year debt, the expected residential tax rate impact per 1,000, that's the last column, would be 0.61 versus the 20-year, which would be 0.75. Now, in this instance, it would make sense to spend the little extra for the 20-year in terms of each individual household to save that $18 million of the last slide. So I just wanted everybody to realize that it makes a difference.
Your children will be grown up before this is paid for.
Yes, so I just wanted you to know, here's an ode to another show, Right, Left, Center, our special Roberta who loves her tricks. Here's an example. You've got your gumballs in here. If you keep adding to taxpayers' debt and you keep filling this cup, it is soon going to be overflowing, and you, the taxpayer, will not have enough money left over to do all the other things you have to do. That's what I mean by we have to spread out the debt when I'm talking about spreading out the debt.
All right, the next question is, the 114 million project cost represents the base cost of the project. It does not include interest costs,
Okay.
including interest in the estimated project cost. I think you pretty well covered that.
Yeah, so, well, actually, I
go
didn't
ahead.
say the total project cost, okay? So if you go back to the slide where you have both columns on the Excel spreadsheet, you've got the short one on the left, yes, okay? So if you look on the left side, we don't even have to worry about the 30-year because we've already decided that was outrageous, okay? If you look at the principal column, so you got this 120 million for the Stoughton taxpayers. You have the hopefully the state doesn't renege on the 47, almost 48 million, okay? But what no one, now the total of those two is the 114 million that we keep hearing over and over again that this project will cost. That only represents the base price. Look at to the column to the left. Interest, even on a 20-year loan, is $32+ million. So, I mean, this is a bone of contention I have when I'm getting information from the town. I want them to give me the complete picture, not just a piece of the picture. This base cost that you were just mentioning, Peter, is just the base cost. What about $32 million is a lot of money.
Yes,
That's
it is.
an interest.
Yes.
So,
All right, the next question is, all signs indicate interest rates will continue to increase given inflation is still on the rise. What happens to both the amount each taxpayer will have to pay and the town interest costs? This will increase the cost of the project across the board.
So basically, with the few slides, you don't have to bring them up again. With the few slides that we just showed, we showed how exponentially the costs could increase. If we bring up, I'm sorry, The other slide that's the last one that you gave me, what it will do, if we go from just 4.25% to 4.5% interest increase based on the inflation and the question you just asked, that just 0.25% would increase the cost over $2 million. So people have to realize that none of these amounts are solidified yet. They don't get solidified until we actually go to the bond market and pull. So it could very easily increase another 0.25%, given the recent news.
All right, does the school have the required 2 entrances and exits?
Okay.
Yeah, this one here is a very good question, because the answer is not yet. They haven't purchased the land for that second entrance yet. And through discussions that we've heard in town meeting, that they've made an offer to the owner of roughly, was it $5 million?
No, anywhere between $3 million to $4 million.
Okay, and then you've got the cost of actually building the road itself. And that is not included in what they want for the school. So they're going to be coming back with a discussion on, we need this amount of money for the access road to that. So instead of 114 million minus the 47, you're going to be talking whatever
Close to
that is.
10 million more, because TJ said it's going to cost 7 million. I believe he said at town meeting to us, it would cost 7 million to pave that road. Now you add 3 to 4 million, it could be over $10 million.
So the real cost is going to be more than that 114 million minus the 47 for the grant. That's if we get it.
All right, to shorten this up, that question there, the reason why they didn't add this road into this article for the school is because it would have, the initial cost for the school would have cost millions of dollars more, and they didn't want to do that. It'd be hard to sell. This way here, they'll get the, if they get the school, they get the school, and they'll come back in 3 or 4 years and request another 5 million, whatever it is, to get the access road. That's the ready why they did that. Okay, you ready to move on?
So wait, no, before we move on to that. So what they're doing in the interim is a huge problem in my mind, okay? So it is required to have 2 entrances and exits. Like, all I ever hear with regard to the school is safety. And it is imperative for safety to have 2 fully functioning entrances and exits. What they did in the interim, I don't know how this is okay or get passed, is they have what they're calling an emergency exit that you cannot use, you're not supposed to be using for drop-off, is off of Haynes Road, which is a road that is so narrow and so short. And the bigger problem is that at the end of it, where this entrance would be, this emergency entrance and exit, is on swampland. So on this property, on both entrances, on that ridiculously small side street, God bless those neighbors if this goes through, because what they're going to have to deal with over there. There's going to have to be a bridge, both from Park Street and from Haynes Road, to go over the swamp area into this school. Now, even on Park Street, there's been no traffic review here. It's absurd. It's absurd.
Can you imagine trying to get a fire truck down that road?
That's right. Or it's very, very small. Correct.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on.
Okay.
Has there been a comprehensive traffic review, including the fire station on the side of the proposed new school site? The upcoming changes on the other side of the intersection on Turnpike Street and Park?
Okay, so what you're talking about there is where the proposed new school would be, is right in the center. On one side of it is the new fire station, okay, which is going to have traffic coming this way, and there's an island in there. That's not even determined what that's going to look like yet. And then on the other side of the proposed school is going to be at the intersection of Turnpike Street coming onto Park. They're going to have a whole new construction area over there, redesigning that entire intersection, which granted absolutely needs to be done because it's a disaster. And I believe they'll have a light there. There's been no comprehensive, and again, I'm going to just keep saying this word over and over again. We as a town need to start comprehensively, collaboratively working together and stop functioning in a bubble. I mean, you both were there. I've gotten heckled, literally heckled at town meeting for expecting us as a town to work collaboratively together. Not only is that a horrible role model for our students, it's just disrespectful to your fellow town citizen who have valid points to make. So,
but there's other projects coming up, not just this school. We're talking about an addition to the police station, and we're also talking about some sort of building for the O'Donnell Middle School. What that is, I don't know, but we're going to be getting that too. So,
and Arnie, that will be servicing 100% of the children, whereas this
O'Donnell Middle School,
that's
yes.
correct. This particular school absolutely serves less than 50%.
I heard some figure like 1 out of 4 students will be going to the new school if it's built.
Or even if you want to say a little bit more, but it's distinctly under 50%, whereas the O'Donnell would service 100%. So
if we get these other projects, it could literally, our debt could literally explode. My personal opinion is it could probably double.
Let's just keep adding to the pot here till we crush our taxpayers.
We have to be more thoughtful.
Getting back to the intersection of Park and Turnpike for the fire department, there's no problem with that intersection right now for the fire department to get in and out of there. Believe me, I know that for a fact. All right, and the town has no control over that intersection because it's the state road, so the state eventually will come in and do something with that. Now, the only thing I don't like about all this combine the two schools together, which everybody thinks it's going to be that way, but anyway, there's going to be kids from different schools going there. And what I don't like is when they built the high school, the state, because that's what happens when you get state money, they dictate what you're going to do. So they said the administration office could not be in the new high school, so they had to spend a couple of $1 million to make an administration office at the old Jones School. Now we're going to reverse that progress in reverse. We're going to spend a few $1 million to move the administration office from the Jones School to the West School. I mean,
how does that make any sense?
It doesn't. It's just a waste of freaking money. But
exactly.
That's what happens when you get the state gets involved. So we'll move on.
Or us stop spending millions of our dollars to only a few years later say, oh, it's not good enough now. Just like the police station that Arnie just mentioned, what you just mentioned. Come on, this is tax.
Didn't they just refurbish that school they're using as the administrative office? New windows and everything else?
Oh, you're talking about the Wilkins now. Yeah, that's the Wilkins.
You threw me off.
Sorry.
I was going to say something there. But all right, we'll move on. In recent history, Stoughton made 2 major capital project mistakes. The police station and fire station. Number two. They were low cost but poorly designed and built with below grade materials. The town has now swung the pendulum back to other extremes to build very expensive high school, but at least it serves all the students of the town and is certainly located, centrally located. We need to be wiser and utilize the practical, more modest price model schools already done by other towns and easily adaptable to our specific needs. The building committee has recreated the wheel costing taxpayers millions of dollars out of the gate.
$1 million out of the gate. So do you understand, like, this is what I'm talking about, finding a balance. So what were you telling me about the fire station? We built a fire station that couldn't be used for how many years, Peter? This is knowledge you have.
No, it was used right away, but there was problems that arose. And for some reason, the fire chief at the time, they knew these problems existed, and they just didn't say anything. And 5 years later, they come in front of the finance committee, I was there, and they started looking at money because they're having all kinds of problems. So I took a bunch of the finance committee people and different trades people to go down there and look at that building and see what was wrong. And there were so many things wrong there that lay people that know nothing about construction could see the problems. But I blame the fire department at the time because they had 5 years to speak up, where they could have went after the contractor and the architect, but they didn't. After this 5 years, why don't you go after them? No, the architect died, and the contractor went belly up, so we had nobody to go after but ourselves. And as far as getting a new high school, the state dictates how many students you're going to build a school to accommodate. And it was already known then by the town and the school that the high school was not big enough to accommodate any increase in students. So it was already too small. So eventually, something's going to happen there because there's going to be more students there than what they can handle. So that's one of the bad parts about working with the state. It's up to you.
So, but at some point, back to your point with the fire station, at some point, we expect, all I am asking is that our leaders start respecting the taxpayer dollars.
Yes.
So in that case, that's taxpayer dollars that built that fire station and state funds. And everybody's got to realize when we talk about state funds, that is still taxpayer dollars. And I don't know about you two, but I expect on both levels, state and local, to be using my hard-earned tax money wisely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that leads me into, we used to spend less than average on our schools. Okay, we used to spend almost about $4 million less than averaged, and we turned out only average academic results. If I could show up the metrics, okay, this was in our handout, okay? If you could blow it up, in every measure, there's columns in there for math, English, I believe ELA, you got math, science, English. Look at those are deplorable numbers. We're not even at 50% academic metric. Okay, thank you. And see all the towns we're being compared to here on the left? This is unacceptable. This is not educating our children to the level our children deserve. Instead of building majestic buildings, we need to take a hard look at our curriculum and what we are actually teaching to get better education. And how do we tell we're getting better education? By having better results or metrics. This is a sorry state of affairs, and we have given generously in this town for decades nearly everything the schools have asked for. All I'm asking for is value for our money, and value in education is please educate our children in the basics. And these results that we just saw up on the screen, it's just a horrifying situation. And go ahead, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I'd like to add something about the South School. I've been at town meeting maybe 30 years, and I was a former finance committee member for 9 years. And all them years, all the different schools would come for new roofs, new windows, new this, new that. But the South School very rarely ever came looking for money. It was almost, this was by design for this school to fail. And that's not only my opinion, that's a lot of people's opinion.
Well, they said that, Peter, at presentations, that they have purposely not maintained this building.
Oh, they did?
Yes,
Okay.
they came right out in public meetings and said, that in anticipation of getting a new school. Well, how has that been good for our students?
Well, they must have been participating in this for the last 25 years.
Well, it's just, It's just not right. We'll
right,
leave
we
it
did.
at that.
If you take a quick ride by the South School, I mean, you just see the building. They allowed somebody to draw all over the outside of the building. The building itself is filthy and just needs to be cleaned, and it's a pitched roof, so they should be able to fix that reasonably well.
Do you know on Facebook they have the most outrageous prices to fix the roof? I'm like, geez, I wonder who their contractors are. It sounds out of control to me.
It was, what was it, like $34 million for a roof?
No, they're saying the whole repair of
Okay.
that would be. But, I mean, again, who's their contractor? And are they fixing every rusty screw in the building? I don't...
Well, the whole point is it's been neglectful. There's graffiti all over the building. Some looks like chalk. I didn't walk onto the property because it wasn't my place to do that when school was in session.
Well, I did that. I took a tour at the end of the day of school.
Yeah,
It's our tax dollars. We have
Right.
every right to take a tour
But
as
there was
town meeting
graffiti
reps.
all over the building that they're allowing to be put on by somebody. I don't know if it's students or it's just kids after school being mischievous.
You were around. I had a friend who said he grew up, he's probably about 72 now. He grew up in North Stoughton, because I do understand people saying there's overcrowding at one point. So he said he had to take classes in the basement up in North Stoughton like 70 years ago.
Hey, when I was in high school, they had double shifts, 8 to 12 and 12:30 to 4:30.
So while my point being by bringing this up is I understand we could have an increase in population, but let's keep in mind this is an elementary school and it's only a temporary problem because all these kids move on to the middle school and high school. Yeah. So if we have a temporary increase in population because new families have moved in, they're going to be there for a while. It's not going to be, what I'm saying, it's not going to be a sustained problem over time.
No, I don't think we'll ever see an influx of a population growth that quick in the schools because these are all the baby boomers after the war. And we'll probably never see that happen again. Okay. We'll move on to the last question.
Well, the last one is just really making a point. So what we were talking about a few minutes ago, where we said we were spending less than average by like about $4 million, a few years ago. But around 8 years ago, our student families on federal SNAP and food subsidies totaled around 40%. And 3 years ago, the state started to adjust Stoughton's subsidies for school spending. 1 year ago, they added $4 million. This second year, they added $5 million, with another $2 million on deck for next year. And this is what I mean when I speak about policies. So if you listen to the school committees, they have a very aggressive application process to go after all grant money. And what that has done is created an infrastructure which rightly helps our own Stoughton citizens, but because we've been so aggressive going after all monies, it's actually put a target on Stoughton's back, attracting the needy from across the state instead of having a modest program that would help our own. And it has gone unnoticed. It has been noticed from outside organizations and to the state government to bring us, the state's needy. And I'm not just talking about American citizens. I'm talking about, to not be overly offensive. Some people don't like the word illegal immigrants.
That's what they are.
So let's use the word migrants. I don't care what you want to call, but this is putting a burden on the Stoughton taxpayers, and it is literally unsustainable and outright unacceptable.
I was going to just say, who's paying for the other towns that send their special needs students to us.
Well,
We do.
Right, we do. It's not spreading the load. If we weren't so aggressive going after our grant money, the load would be more evenly spread out throughout all the towns instead of, like I said, putting a target on our back. So our population in the South schools are needy or poor, or the SNAP program, however it wants to be described, has grown from 40% to over 50%. And this is, again, what I mean when we say we need to be looking at our policies. Am I saying not go after any grants? Of course not. But we need to start discerning if we do this, what the result is going to be. That's why I want comprehensively to understand as town-wide and to work collaboratively, even with people who disagree with me. I want to work collaboratively to find a better balance, because that's what we need. The goal is not to get massive dollars for royal buildings, but to put in place a curriculum and teachers and support staff which produce above average and excellent measurable results. Average is not okay. And as those metrics we put up a few minutes ago showed, below average. It is not okay. Stoughton taxpayers and students deserve better. Policies matter, and we need to stop spiraling. I only have, one more thing. If you back to the South School, we're now accepting $11 million in subsidies from 350 other cities and towns above our normal spending. What that does, and what nobody ever talks about, is it expands our debt capacity at 10% of the $11 million, none of which can be spent on the debt. So we increased our borrowing capacity. That's what they're saying. Oh, we have the borrowing capacity. Yeah, if you crush your taxpayers. But we're doing that with money that we can't use to pay off the debt. So who gets to pay off the debt?
First of all, we've just got a tax increase this year. There's another one coming up in 2027 and another one in 2028.
Well, when you say the tax increase, are you talking about the water, sewer, and trash? Which particular tax increase are you talking about?
I'm talking about our property taxes.
That happens every year.
No, but I'm saying in addition to the 2.5% from Proposition 2.5, we just got an increase above and beyond that based on our existing debt that we already have of $145 million. So in 2027, we're getting another increase. And in 2028, another increase on top of that. That doesn't include the New South School. It doesn't include the police station and any modification or replacement of the O'Donnell School.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The burden is shouldered by our property taxpayers, and it's just unacceptable in a nutshell.
Plus, we always tax right up to the levy. You were there at that meeting there where people come out and explained everything.
So you just brought another point up.
We right there. We haven't gone over it, but we always manage just to stay under it.
Okay, so
which is not good.
This is what I hope to do over time. Maybe we can do other shows. Maybe we can create our own show. Is to explain to people. So we had a debt meeting in our town on April 30th with Hillside, who is our financial advisor. That's one of the slides I showed today. They explained to us, so there's debt which is held inside the budget, and then there's debt that's held outside the budget. This school June 11th vote is going to be, it's called a debt exclusion, and it's going to be outside the budget. What that means is it is if you vote yes, it's a self-imposed tax upon yourself above and beyond all the other taxes. Your 2.5%, your CPC tax, which is the Community Preservation Committee tax, and the high school that you're already paying, and the fire station is debt exclusions. Okay, so that's outside the debt. With I'm sure the O'Donnell Middle School and the police station would be another debt exclusion. The problem with all this debt outside is it's placing a crushing, let me put some more in here, causing crushing debt to our hardworking families and our senior citizens on a fixed income. It's unacceptable. What they did point out to us, they being Hillside again, is the debt inside the budget is at, if I remember correctly, it's at 2.5% when it should be up to 10%. What that does when debt's inside the budget is it reduces the amount both the municipal side of our government, town government, and the school can take for their operating expenses. And it's forcing them to live within their means. And could you please tell me what citizen you know in this town doesn't have to live within their means? Either one of you? Do you have to live within your means?
Absolutely.
When you take on debt, do you get to ask somebody else to pay for it?
No, it's me.
Right, so it needs to start, we need to start having some of this debt inside the budget, which then leads me to the free cash problem. We have not, as a town, been saving enough in our stabilization funds.
Exactly.
And you will see me tonight at town meeting adamantly fighting, and you should have seen me already had to adamantly fight on the finance committee to increase money in that stabilization fund for projects to be offset by savings. And if you're saving, you're not just, can I say, pissing it away? And I say pissing it away because you're not saving it for those who say this school is needed. Well, where have you been demanding that we save for this project all these years? These people on town meeting right now cannot spend enough Stoughton taxpayer dollars fast enough. They are rubber stamping everything, and I'm calling right now on your show, Peter, if I can, for citizens watching this show to please reach out to me, lisalionsrep@gmail.com, to become a town meeting rep with fiscal discernment on mind, and we will help you get there because we need people to take action for the best interest of all of the town. From our students to our hardworking families that don't have children to our seniors on a fixed income.
After saying that, I'd like to just bring that up. There are a lot of seniors here that are on fixed incomes. They're living in their house now. Tax increases to them are killing them. I've heard from several of the people in my precinct who are seniors, and I am one, and I am on a fixed income. And then they've got a house that their children grew up in, their grandchildren come to. They want to stay in that house. They don't want to move. They love Stoughton. And we need to be able to think of not only the seniors on fixed income, there are people there that make less than $62,000 a year who are renting and don't think that the taxes won't affect the renters because the landlord has to pay the taxes.
That's a good point, Arnie.
Yeah.
Renters are going to be affected by this as well.
And there's another thing we ought to bring up too is there's the middle class people, some of the people who just bought houses. They paid, I can tell you, they paid a lot more than I did 30 years ago. In fact, it was 34 years ago. To make a long story short on that one is they are paying a mortgage probably twice what I do right now. And if we have a recession, not only they are going to be hurting bad, and these tax increases are going to wreck them. You're going to see a lot of people.
Inflation is wrecking them right now.
Exactly, you nailed it.
There's going to be a lot of foreclosures.
Yes, exactly.
People have maxed over $1 trillion on charge cards, and that can't be sustained.
It's
Because they've maxed out their savings, now they've maxed out their charge cards, and it's going to hit the fan and it's over.
It's a horrible
But
situation.
I would like to go back to the school for a minute.
Sure.
One thing I've learned over the years, when you're dealing with architects, and especially when they go to state and municipalities, they know that all these superintendents and department heads, when they want new buildings, they want big, grandiose buildings. So they're going to come in with the most elaborate design that you can think of, and they're going to love it. But they have no concern for the average person that's going to have to pay for that, the hardship they have to go through. Now, just take that high school. Okay, everybody says, oh, that's a beautiful building. I'm not going to deny it's not a beautiful building. But you look at that, you got all these bump outs, and some roofs are higher than the other. All that stuff adds to the cost to build that building and to maintain that building.
I call those nooks and crannies, exactly.
And when I get to this South School, I wish we had a plan to show that. When you drive into the driveway to the school, the entrance, it's a big rotunda there that you're going to walk into. And then when you get in there, you're going to have 3 buildings, one going to the left, one going to the right, one going to the middle. I forget now if it's 2 stories or 3 stories high. But that adds to the cost. This big elaborate rotunda in an entrance amounts to nothing but a waste of money.
I call it a majestic royal staircase. I mean, it's
well, that's
absurd.
Right. I heard, I don't know if this is for sure, but I heard that they get an elaborate staircase where people can sit on one side.
It goes like this.
And everybody go, well, why would you have to go sit on
It's the dynasty staircase, I call it.
Okay. But let's go back to Brockton a few years back. They built like 6 new elementary schools, and they used one set of plans for each school. One. And it's a basic rectangle building. Nothing fancy, okay, on the outside, but it's a cheaper, efficient way to build a school. That doesn't mean the inside doesn't look as elaborate as we're going to get. The inside can be elaborate, but they save money on the cost of the foundations with all these jigs and jags and bump outs, the building with the bump outs. So no, we always take the most expensive part. And I'll pass it on that.
So you basically just handed me a layup there.
I know what
that
it
I
is.
thought we weren't going to have time to do this, but we did. So I'm just going to read to you from the MSBA's website, a quote from them. It says the MSBA is very excited to be adding these 6 school designs to the model school program, said MSBA Director Mary Pichetti, I don't know. Each aligns with our goal of offering designs that prioritize flexible education programming spaces. They're easy to maintain and contain optimal classroom space and incorporates sustainable green to people who care about that, design elements when possible. Okay, so there is a list of schools here. Okay, can you bring up the photo of the schools, the model schools that oh, God bless you. You got it. He's great. You have a great guy over there. Okay, these are just a couple of the schools. Okay, that one of them, these are elementary schools. These are the exact type of schools that we could have taken in an existing design, and these are easily adaptable to satisfy our needs for this South School. So again, I'm gonna reiterate, the no vote is not, we care about our precious children, but we care about all the near 30,000 taxpayers of this town. Again, we need to collaboratively work to find a balance that both services the needs of the town students with the rest of the town's fiscal responsibility. And these model school designs do just that. It's been proven over and over again. We were told, correct me if I'm wrong, either Peter or Arnie, we were told, oh, the MSBA is moving away from the model schools. That, by what I'm reading, and I just pulled this up off of their website, they're extolling the virtues of these schools. Why are we recreating the wheel here in Stoughton all the time? There's one member of our current select board who says that all the time. Why? We need to have some basic common sense here. And I don't see the common sense.
All right, I think I see a movement. Oh,
That's okay.
I know. I'm willing to bet if they built a basic school like we're talking about, that all that excess money could have built a brand new police station.
This is what I'm talking about,
And-
comprehensive.
and wait a minute.
Sorry.
And the quality of education in the new schools, these big elaborate Taj Mahals they built, the quality of education is going to be no better than what it is now.
That's right, 'cause
That doesn't change anything.
buildings
So I'd
don't
rather
teach,
see-
teachers
I'd rather
do.
see a basic school with the interior looking great and spend more money to get qualified teachers and pay them a decent salary.
Well, they're making a decent salary.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. A lot of teachers, the basic.
You mean the paras maybe not? We just
Teacher salaries in Stoughton, they're like 50 some odd thousand. But if you're there long enough, then you keep going up.
Well, administration's making far more than that.
Oh, yeah.
And they added
I'm glad
administration.
you brought that administration up. Under the previous administration, before they all left, they created like, I don't know, 3 to 6 new positions.
Exactly.
The superintendent of the high school needs an assistant to the superintendent. And that assistant needs an assistant. So what is that all about?
And these are nearly
And then
six-figure salaries.
We have 2 assistant superintendents that take care of truancy. I mean, where's this going? How'd they get along up until 2 years ago? They were getting along fine. Now all of a sudden we create all these jobs? No. It's ridiculous. And the town side's doing the same thing. We're creating jobs that didn't exist before.
Well, I'm just that just falls under the category to me of policies. Create a problem. You just keep creating a problem, but you have the solution. The solution is a majestic royal school. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. We have a model school programs that could be modest, priced reasonably, and then we could maybe focus on curriculum that's improving these metrics here, because I'm not getting the value for my taxpayer dollars, and it's unacceptable, and it's not doing our students any favors. And did you have anything to add on that?
You've covered it very well.
Well,
On the, I just wanted to ask about this MSBA. We may want to tell them what the website is so that they can look it up for themselves and see all these schools. Because I think you just showed 4 designs. They look great to me. And
yep, so you can go to it's www.massschoolbuildings.org/programs/model school. And you can see, I just gave you a brief screenshot of the beautiful model schools that they have.
one thing, just to add that at the end, model school is model space school.
Oh, actually, thank you for correcting me, Arnie. I appreciate that. So again, it's www.massschoolbuildings.org/programs/model_school. So it's model_school on that website. And you can go and look and see what I've seen and how our building committee, but that brings me to another point. The building committee has a lot of people on it that's affiliated with the school or will be making money off of building this Taj Mahal new school if it comes to fruition. But from me, running the campaign and the people who have been on the street speaking to people, a lot of people are taking exception to this. And, we'll let the chips fall where they may on June 11th, but we hope people vote no. And it gives a message to the leaders of this town, both on the school side and on the municipal side. We expect comprehensive planning. Like, I watched the school committees this year, and they even said, they need a capital plan. They didn't have a fully functioning capital plan in place. And not only should they have it, the town should have it, and one of our select men actually asked to have it, and then we need to combine it, and then we need to come together and stop fighting each other. How about we just take turns? If we just stop all trying to grab the biggest piece we can, and I understand that's human nature, but if we set up a collaborative environment where we're taking turns on these projects, then maybe it won't be so contentious and the Stoughton taxpayer can actually benefit. What do you think?
Yes, but I want to say one thing. I'm not against new schools. We need new schools, but we do not need Taj Mahals that we cannot afford. That's all I want to say. I'm for the schools, but not for this particular school because
That's
it's
right.
way overboard. And I think everybody else in this panel
They
will
do.
agree.
And a no vote doesn't mean no school. It means
Not yet.
not yet. We need to be more practical. We need to be more fiscally responsible. And I says that cuts across all the lines. Everyone has to think we can give them a good school, and we just need to, as you saw by the 4 examples, those buildings are beautiful.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, the other thing they always tell you on these school committee building projects, well, even a municipal side, that it's cheaper to build new than rehab, because they always come out, well, like it costs $113 million to build new, and it's only $112 to rehab. So for the $1 million, we'll go new. Well, that's crazy. Don't buy into that.
That's
because it is not
absurd,
true.
isn't it?
Because I've built houses in the past, and I've rehabbed a lot of houses. And believe me, it's cheaper to buy an old house and rehab it, gut it out, bring it up to code, bring it up to everything else, and it's cheaper.
HGTV will show you that.
And also, you take like a lot of towns like Easton, the high school in downtown Easton, years ago when they built a new one, a developer went in there and gutted it all out, reconfigured all kinds of rooms for condos or apartments, I forget what they are, and got it out, and they brought all the plumbing, electrical, everything up to code, and put all the utilities in for the internet and all that kind of stuff, and insulated. Everything's up to date, and it was cheaper because he had the foundation, he had the land, he had the foundation, and he had the building. All he had to do was change the inside.
It's common sense, right, Peter? All
it
this,
is.
what I put the detractors in is in the category of fear mongering. It's this or nothing. Our kids will. Do you know what I mean? Look at the metrics. Why aren't they fighting this hard to make sure the metrics are improving than to get a majestic royal staircase and over the top building? Why is that? Somebody needs to answer that to me. They're just blindly accepting the sales pitch, which you can't blame the people pitching the project, but it's their job to pitch, it's our job to vet the project, and we have done extensive research vetting this project. And these people on these committees that are all affiliated with the school, going back to your point earlier, they want the best of everything, but I don't think they're thinking about the entire town, and that's what a no vote is going to go back to them and say, listen, we've given you near everything you've asked for decades now. The resistance has come. We expect you to share. We expect you to bring up the metrics, and we expect you to be practical.
Yes, we're Stoughton, Massachusetts. We're a working community, and a lot of middle-class people and a lot of low-middle-class people, and there's some poor, and there's a lot of rich people in town that build these $2 and $3, $5 million homes.
I saw them. I saw
But
areas.
there's not enough from. It's not like the towns west of 495, where you get all these high-tech companies and high-tech workers making the millions a year. They buy a $20 million home and tear it down and put up $150 million. They can afford these kind of schools. We as a community cannot.
We need to find a balance and collaborate and work together. Exactly. And stop heckling each other. Let everybody make their points.
Yeah, town meeting you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
I am,
I
Peter.
never seen town meeting so
But-
rude as they are last year and this year.
Well, they're getting it under. They're attempting to get that under control, and the town meeting reps need to realize they're on camera and they're not looking good nor setting a good example for the children when they try to censor speech, or they don't let their detractors debate. When you let both sides have their say, you're actually having an open debate, and you can learn something from the other side. I've learned some things from the other side, and I hope they learn some things from my side as well.
Well, some people, it's like politics. You can't disagree with them because they go ballistic.
Well, come on. That's not very mature, is it?
No, but I see an argument the other night at town meeting between two town meeting rep, because they each had different ideas, and the guy was belligerent. He was out of control.
Okay, so you lose credibility when you can't have a
This wasn't
civil
this
debate.
wasn't in the open debate.
No,
This
I
is
know what you're
after
saying.
the meeting. you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, and I know the two people you're talking about. But to your point earlier, or to my point, right? You need to have a calm, stop calling people liars. You know what I mean? Just because the vote may not go your way. God knows enough of votes haven't gone my way, huh, Arnie?
Ain't that the truth?
Well, it's getting pretty close to signing off, so anybody want to say something quick?
I'm good. I'm gonna.
I think we've covered that pretty well.
Yep.
All right, we might end up, I got to sign off.
Okay.
Okay, just remember, a vote no is not that you're against the school. You're just for responsibility to put a school up that we can afford as a community. And thank you for watching the Stoughton Godfather show, and
And thank you for having us.
Thank you
Peter.
for having us, Peter.
you're welcome. Come
Thank
again.
you. Thank you.
Goodbye, all. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.